breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, lock, and stop and let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school. We think we're so cool. We take it back to the past. We gonna act a fool.
Hello, and welcome to Sports Buzz, a Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, on this September 26th. Started as a beautiful day. We did get some much-needed rain, though, in the afternoon. Yeah, and we are now officially in fall. It's going to be dry right back out, though. I think going to be a nice weekend. Some interesting weather and temperatures going on as fall begins. But we did get a little rain this afternoon late, so that was pretty good. But we are here once again.
It was a hot day on Monday.
Yeah, first day of fall was officially like
95 degrees.
It got pretty hot. It definitely got pretty hot. But we are here once again, and we are live, so the phone lines are open. 203-792-4101 is the number. And we will say hello to my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Broad Jr., who
Hi,
thinks
Mr.
microphone's
Scott.
working.
How are you?
Microphone working? Yes.
Microphone's working.
Right. I'm doing good there, Bob. How are you?
I'm doing well. Been busy. We had a thing for Vietnam vets on Tuesday, and that'll be up on Spotlight on sometime in the next
Bob's show
couple of
Spotlight
days.
on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. So Vietnam Vets is in the spotlight for the upcoming shows.
Yeah. What else is? And in a couple of weeks we got Snyder coming up. And
and the annual Fire Prevention Open House on Saturday, October 12th at the Mill Plain Volunteer Fire Department. Special events, fire truck rides, Sparky the Fire Dog.
Yes. Come meet Sparky.
And help fight a fire.
Yes.
Earn your junior firefighting badge.
Free firefighter hats to both boys and girls. We have
Smoke and CO detector giveaways.
Yes, by the Elks Club.
Sponsored by the Danbury Elks Lodge. That's great. And sponsored, well, we won't mention that in case we don't want to get in any trouble. Just giving too many, plugs to things. But so that's the 12th and the 13th, the Sunday, the day after at Vespucci Lodge, Snyra.
So
how many years is this?
This is number 18 for Snyra.
Number 18. And second year over at the Vespucci Lodge.
Well, actually, it's the third year. Actually, the fourth year of Vespucci. The first 2 years we did at Vespucci. Then we moved from there to Westcon.
And then over to PAL.
And then the PAL, and then
now you're back where you belong, basically. Yes. Fantastic.
And the nicest thing is, it's if everything still worked like it did back in the day,
Phone's ringing.
I'll finish when we get done with that.
All right. Phone is ringing, and we are answering. Sports Buzz, you are live and on the air.
Strange Man, Scotty, how are you?
Pretty good. Strange Man gets in early and often.
Yeah.
What's going on, Strange Man?
Well, did you check out the game today?
I was listening to it on the radio. I didn't like what happened in that final inning, the mockery that the Rangers made of the game of baseball.
Yep. Mike Minor's 200 strikeout with the pop-up that was dropped.
Yeah.
And then the bad call when he got the final strikeout.
The third strike, yeah. So the Rangers left in a pitcher. Let's hope he blew out his arm. This guy's already had Tommy John surgery. He went up over 130 pitches. But he was trying, for some reason, to get the milestone of 200 strikeouts in a season. Which is, 200 is relatively common for good pitchers. 300 is a big number.
Right, 300
200, maybe he had an incentive for financial reasons in his contract, who knows. But so they leave him in, they bring him out for the 8th, which was surprising. And he goes 1, 2, 3 on 3 pitches because the Red Sox can see what is going on in the game.
Right.
And that they're bringing him out of there to try to get one more strikeout to hit 200. So they swing first pitch.
Boom.
And they go 3 ground ball outs.
Yeah.
So then they bring him back in the 9th inning. He's up around 130 pitches. The second batter up hits a pop fly in foul ground. The first baseman lets it drop intentionally. to manufacture the opportunity for him to get that strikeout.
Right.
And the Red Sox announcers were none too pleased.
I can imagine
and,
the Red Sox announcers
and
were
the Red
livid.
Sox dugout was also displeased as
Yeah.
well, as they manufactured it, and he got it. He ended up getting the strikeout, and then they took him out.
Yeah, the ump called that
And then
controversial strike.
And the third strike was out of the strike zone, and the ump said, "Let's give it to him." So there was a double whammy against the Sox and the game of baseball.
That's why I say.
Yeah, then they lost 7-5, but it was
7-5,
hot.
right.
It was like 95 at the end of the game.
In Texas, right?
Yeah.
I do want to say that next year is going to be tough for the Red Sox because they have to pay out, I don't know if you realize this, 12 to 14 million of luxury tax. You realize that?
Yeah, well, they have, I think, maybe the highest salary in baseball right now. So I'm not surprised they're over that tax.
I want to say, everybody, the final game is this Sunday. It's Baltimore at Fenway. And
Oh, that should be it. Should be a win.
3-4 start, and then it is
The Red
A-Rod is going for
Orioles
his
been
20th
playing.
win.
Well, yeah, they will have something. They will be trying to get a legitimate thing from their player, Eddie Rodriguez, who's got 19 wins. So he will be looking for a 20th win on the
Right.
season, which would be great for him.
I mean, 20
they
wins
gutted
is
they gutted out the game the other day where he didn't pitch great, but the offense kind of bailed him out to give him his 19th, set him up for the final day of the season to go for number 20.
I mean, 20 today is a milestone
Jimmy
considering
Fund.
Yeah,
what it
not
used
that
to be
good.
like.
You guys go to
Listen,
20.
they did this in about 30 days. Listen to this. Drum roll for this one.
Got the drum roll.
3.9 million for the Jimmy Fund.
All right, that was still going on. I thought that was all finished.
Yeah, well, they did it in about 30 days. I mean, it goes to the end of the year. I mean,
Oh, okay. 3.9 mil. They always do a great
hats
job.
off to all the Bus Red Sox fans.
Yeah, they do a tremendous job with that year in and year out. One of the best of really charitable things that takes place during the year, every year.
Yeah, so I think next year will be my last year for the Jimmy Fund. It'll be the 19th year, and I think I'll call it quits. But it was a good run at it. You know, I went back to where I started, which was in Ohio. Started in
Right.
Long Island, and I was down at the old Shea, and I picked up the Cincinnati Reds. And so you saw my gear.
Oh, that's why you had that
when I was
Reds
in.
the other night. You got last week.
All right, so let me speak about the Mets. If
Okay.
they could only get those 3 games back.
Yeah, and Chicago could have lost.
Well,
had a run of bad luck for that we
Well,
didn't.
yeah, how about the Cubs losing 8 straight down the stretch? But the Mets getting swept early in the year by the Marlins
Yeah.
is something you look at.
I
And
would have thought about Kimbrel, you know?
Kimbrel came back and he gave up the 2 home runs, and the Cardinals beat him. And then the Cardinals ended up sweeping them 4 straight in Chicago for the first time since the 1920s.
Yeah.
And then and the Cubs have followed that up by continuing to lose.
Colorado on Monday the 16th, 9-4, Mets lost it. That was horrible. But listen to this. So on 9/21st, which was a Saturday, this was 3-2 Reds. The Reds came out top,
Yep.
but the Mets bobbled a tailor-made double play in the early part of the game, and that was a turning point of the game for Wheeler. I mean, it's like, whoa. So, but then the next day, at 9-1 start, Stroman started for Mets, and then the Mets did win 6-3. So they took the series 2-1.
Yeah, but they had to sweep. They had to sweep the Reds.
9
Yeah.
after 7, when against what is it, the Marlins at Mets, and that was Monday on the 23rd, right? So Smith was battling Max, and then
And Mats
that
gave it up.
rushing reversal call. Did you hear about that, Gustav?
Yes.
Yes, he did.
So that was when the pitcher was covering first, okay? Everybody called him out. I mean, the announcers called him out, the ump called him out, but then they went to the headset.
Of course.
And it got reversed. And they
The
let
death of
2
all
runs
sports.
Yes.
The headsets. Yeah, well, that was a big blow. You could look at a lot of different spots. I mean, down the stretch, obviously, the most immediately games that they've lost you look at, but there's a lot of different moments throughout the year. Really, when they lost the 6 straight
Great games is what really hurt us the
after
most.
sweeping the Indians, then they got swept by the Braves, and I forget who swept them right after that.
Washington, right?
Washington, was it?
Sky, they played the gangbusters since the All-Star break.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They did a great job keeping themselves relevant. They've actually moved into the 3rd spot of the wild card. They got ahead of everybody else. They're ahead of the Cubs.
Catcher hit 2 home runs, but Rosario hit the grand slam, so it was 6-4. And why can't they give these umps a mic, or why didn't they call the commissioner's office and say, can we force those runners back on? Because the head ump can do that. He can force those runners to go back. Because look, the pitcher thought the call was dead, so he didn't bother turning around and throwing it to home.
Interesting point. That is valid.
But then again, I could go through a lot of plays this year that the umps blew it.
You cannot do that.
Right.
All right.
No, that makes sense.
So they, but anyway, the Mets, in my opinion, they would still be in it going into the final weekend if they could only have those 3 games back. But anyway, listen, they're going to retire number 36, Jerry Koosman, last year, and the manager of the Mets actually was used to wear that number, but since it's now retired, so he's now 26 on his back. And on Tuesday, it was, believe it or not, 9 after 7. It was the 50th anniversary of clinching the AL East in 1969, according to Bob Murphy. Now, I am happy for Jacob DeGrom.
AL or NL?
He could get his second Cy Young.
I don't think he's going to get the Cy Young. There's
think?
been a lot of talk about him in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that would
really be.
Yeah, I thought he had, for him, a little bit of a down year.
That's why I would say too. I don't think he had a good year for that.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it that closely, but I was surprised to hear all of a sudden his name in the mix. So I do not think he'll win, just based on what I've seen from the Mets and from him this year.
I think he might get it, and then at 9:43, I'm listening to the game, and then the
Does
Brewers
not look
beat
like
the
Mike
Reds
Trout will
9-2,
finally.
So they eliminated.
And the Brewers won today. We've had day baseball.
Right.
Twins were beating the Tigers. The Brewers did win again. The Brewers, I mean, the Mets, you can say what you want about the Mets, 3 games here, a game there, a game there. Their biggest problem was that the Brewers didn't lose. The Brewers have won 17
the Brewers
out of 19 games.
They never stop winning. That's the problem.
When they eliminated the
They've
Mets,
only lost 2 since Yelich went down, and they were on a streak before he went down. So they've won like 17 out of 19. The Nationals as well have played well down the stretch. So the other teams didn't lose, except for the Cubs, who went completely belly up. And for some reason, Joe Maddon's
sitting there
cheersing to somebody last night as they're on their process of losing 8 straight. And talk is he's going to get fired. I don't know if he will or not. I haven't talked about it much in recent years because he's not coaching Tampa. But if you remember, Bob, you probably remember.
I do remember.
He's the most hated manager in all of sports from me.
Right.
I can't stand that guy.
Well, you know what the talk is
He's
too,
such
don't
a
you?
fraud.
If he does get fired, you know who one of the ones they would like to bring in is Girardi.
Because
that's what Girardi's.
He was a Chicago guy.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
If I can fit this in, Jeff McNeil, he's out for the year with the right wrist, but he could have got the average. You know, he could have won the batting title on the average. And we'll see about
It's going for
Pete
52.
Alonso.
Yeah.
I'm saying Alonso mania because now he's got 51 dingers, and he could tie Judge's record of 52. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that'd be great for him.
But you know,
I mean, all these numbers things, I don't get all that excited about anymore because the numbers are junk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the home run record got smashed again this year. The strikeout record for the 12th straight year got smashed.
Right. So they're really not as popular as they were at one time.
Yeah, you know, the way the game's being played, I don't know.
So anyway, yesterday, listen to this.
All right, let's hurry it up, strange man, because we got a lot to get to.
The Mets lost 10-3.
Let's do this. Put the strange man show.
The groundbreaking for Citi Field was on the 13th, And then the opening day was on the 13th, and I'm not making this stuff up.
Well,
Now,
they're never going to win.
I'm going to hide tomorrow because it is 9/27, and it's also the 270th day of the year for the baby Bronx bump. So I am hiding, man. Anyway, you take care. Everybody take care, and God willing, we'll talk to you later. Strange man up the road somewhere.
Over and out. Strange man.
So back to where I forgot where.
I don't know. Let's get into some of these numbers with baseball. You took up a lot of time there. So this weekend, to settle things, these are the games of note, the series of note. Indians at Nationals. Nationals still fighting for home field. They have clinched the wild card, but they are fighting for home field for that one-game playoff against the Brewers. Indians trying to get in. Rays at Jays. Rays and A's and Indians pretty locked up tight. Yankees at Rangers. Yankees are still playing for potentially the number
Home
one
field.
seed, but they're two back now, the Astros. Brewers at Rockies. Astros at Angels. We mentioned them in the mix with the Yankees for home field. Oakland at Seattle. Dodgers also looking for the best record in baseball if they got to the World Series. Yankees 102.57, Houston 104.54. Twins, here's a quick trivia for you. Who's their manager, Bob, at 98-60?
For what? The Twins?
For the Twins. Who's the
Is
manager?
it Yost?
Remember the days when we used to know all the managers?
Yeah.
I don't know any managers anymore. I just found out the other day, Rocco Baldelli. In his first year, at the age of 38, is the manager of the Twins. They might get 100 wins.
I haven't heard that name in.
Well, he had health issues. Remember, he played for Tampa briefly for the Red Sox. Isn't he a Connecticut native?
Yeah.
I think he is a Connecticut native.
Yeah, he is.
Anyway, so he's the first-year manager for them. Tampa at 95-64, Oakland 95-63, Cleveland 93-65. He could end up with a three-way tie for even more one-game playoff action.
Now, who's got the one-game playoff?
I don't know how that shakes out. If it's a three-way tie, I really don't know how that shakes out. Or if it's a two-way tie, if one of them gets one game ahead and the other two tie.
So
I don't know.
We have to have a playoff game to have like a round
To have a
robin.
playoff
I don't
game.
know.
Yeah, you got to have a playoff game to have a playoff game.
Yeah.
And really, you got to give credit to Tampa.
Right.
They took 3 out of 4 against the Red Sox. The Red Sox were winning all 3 of those games that they lost, and then they took the mini sweep, 2-game sweep against the Yankees.
Right.
Good job by them. And the other 2
at the 10-minute
teams.
mark.
Right. Well, strange man, monopolizes the show. Atlanta 97-62. Cardinals have clinched 90-69.
Right.
Dodgers 102-56. So Dodgers are tied with the Yankees.
I would figure Dodgers would have been clinched by now.
Well, yeah, but that's in the mix just for the best record in baseball. Nationals and Brewers, Nationals 89-69, Brewers 89-70. The Nationals do lose that tiebreaker. If they end up tied, that one-game playoff would be in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I do want to make mention of this, too. It's the haves and the have-nots, Bob. 3 teams with possibly the Braves and Twins joining the 100-win club.
Right.
4 teams with 100 losses. Who do you think has the worst record in baseball this year?
Baltimore.
You would have thought so. Detroit.
But they tried.
46 and 111.
What is it?
Or Baltimore 46 and 111.
Jeez, they're worse than the Mets were back in.
Baltimore 52 and 107. Miami 55 and 103. KC 58 and 101. In the American League, if you don't have either the top teams with 100 plus wins and the others in the high 90s, everybody else is in the 70s or below except for the Red Sox. The Red Sox are the only team that's going to finish with the record in the 80s victory-wise. Interesting little side note. And I mentioned home run record gets shattered. The K record gets shattered for 12 straight year.
Well, I'm hoping
every year they break that record. And right now it's Twins at Yankees. If it ended today, we know the Twins never beat the Yankees.
Right.
The other team that never beats the Yankees is Oakland. They could end up playing them.
Right.
And Cardinals and Braves is locked in. We know for a fact that'll be a first-round series.
But you know what's all but the bad part is, though, the Yankees get past the first round, something always...
Well, in recent vintage...
It has.
We will find out. They didn't get past the first round last year.
No.
Red Sox took care of business early against
Yeah.
those Yankees.
Well, I'm
We will
saying
see. Their pitching is not great. I mean,
No.
Herman is out for the year.
CC is not 100%.
CC weighs about 500 pounds. Matsui, he can only usually go 5 innings.
Right, before his arm starts to turn to rubber.
I don't really know. We'll see.
You know?
The Astros got the top pitching
Oh
staff.
yeah, the Astros they do their
All
homework
right, let's
every
get
year.
into some football, Bob, and
Okay,
finish
yeah,
off.
so we can.
Eagles at Packers tonight. Packers, one of the three. There seems to be a lot of 3-0 teams to start
Yes.
the year. It seems like an unusual amount of undefeated teams early. Eagles at 1-2, a little bit desperate early for them. They got some injuries, and the Packers are playing good defense, but have they played anybody with a good offense yet?
Right.
We're not so sure about that. Tonight's game could be good, even though the Thursday night games are usually not great because of
No.
the short week. I mean, they really only have one day to prepare for these games.
I know.
It's
You got
ridiculous.
Wednesday,
You're off on Monday. I don't know. It's just kind of crazy.
Then you got to fly to another place. You got to get everything set up.
We got
there's a
2
lot.
other undefeated teams playing this weekend. Patriots at Bills, both
Yeah.
3-0.
So
Are the
what
Bills
do you-
legit?
What do you think? I mean,
Well,
Bills are looking very
The
good.
Patriots defense has been outstanding. They have not allowed a touchdown, even though the Jets put up 14 points. They came on a special teams fumble and a pick 6. The defense has only allowed 3 points total this year in 3 games.
So we'll definitely see a
And the
change in that pattern somewhere.
we haven't spent much time on Antonio Brown, and
No.
maybe we don't really have to. But that was short-lived, huh?
Right.
Gone.
Gone.
He gone. But the big game for you, Bob, you actually have some reason to be a little excited about your G-Men.
Yeah, and this is
I
why
mentioned it last
now,
week.
Didn't I say this last?
It's
I
the
said,
new era of unbridled optimism.
Yeah, I said I remember what I said. If you change the quarterbacks, it will change.
Danny Dimes, as some people are calling him, Daniel Jones, rallies them from an 18-point deficit. Eli never came back from an 18-point deficit in his entire tenure. How about this for a little controversy, Bob?
Go ahead.
What do you think of the notion that they decided to pull Eli? Remember, I thought it was early. I did not expect them to pull that early.
Remember, I said too. They said that if he doesn't make it good in the first 2 games,
You called it.
Yeah.
But the other thing about that is his record is 500 all time.
oh yeah,
And if he had kept going, he would have all of a sudden been a below 500 career quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And they decided to pull him. You think that's possible?
oh yeah.
They had that in
you
mind?
got remember last year we started 0-6.
Yeah, who knows? 2-7 the last 2
2-7.
years in a row. And they get the
So-
Giants this weekend, so he rallies them from 18 points. Tampa Bay, how about this to mention as well? The Patriots have had 2 kickers this entire century, which is now about 2 decades old.
Right.
Tampa Bay has had 7 kickers in like the last 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
And the kicker they ran out there the other day blew a gimme field goal to beat your Giants
Yeah.
and let Daniel Jones get that moment in the sun.
Yeah.
On that 4th down, he sneaks it in for the touchdown.
Yeah, I mean 32-31. I mean that was exciting to.
How about this also? They faced the Redskins, who got crushed by the
Yeah.
Bears the
And
other
what- and
night,
the Skins are what?
28-0 at halftime.
And they're 0-3.
The Redskins, 0-3, 1-18 on Monday Night Football
Yeah.
since they moved out of the old Redskins Stadium and into
Right.
the one in the mid-90s. Well, that is terrible. And how about this? In the Daniel Snyder era, which has been pretty, at least I'd say 20 years by now.
Right.
The Redskins have only won 2 playoff games in his entire era. That's pretty bad.
Hey, even the Bears had a good game on this
Well,
week.
the Bears' offense finally got going.
Yeah.
Other teams that are undefeated: the Chiefs 3-0, Cowboys 3-0, Packers 3-0, Rams 3-0, Niners 3-0, Lions 2-0-1.
Yeah. Now
so that's
how's
undefeated.
that
Big, I guess we got to mention probably one of the big wins. A few. The Panthers won with a backup quarterback. The Saints won in Seattle with a backup
Right.
quarterback. And we mentioned to Tyler. We didn't mention who's Tyler's here, of course. doing a great job on audio. Darkness, El Diablo directing the show.
3
Tyler
minutes to
Saints,
go.
2-1, big win. And I
Yeah.
mentioned to him before the show, the one thing I'm surprised about that nobody on TV is talking about is the fact that the Saints actually have one of the top defenses in the league based on what they did last year, and they brought
Right.
most of the same guys back. So everybody's talked about Breeze being out and can Bridgewater manage. No one's mentioned that they have a legit defense.
Yeah.
And they play the Cowboys this weekend in New Orleans, so that should be a pretty good game. Other games of note this weekend, Browns at Ravens, Kansas City at Detroit, Carolina with the backup at Texans, Vikings at Bears, a good matchup of 2-1 teams. Vikings, Ravens, Texans, Colts, Saints, Seahawks all 2-1.
Who's got the-
Dallas at Saints.
Who's got Monday Night Football this week?
Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. It was so bad I didn't write it down, but I remembered it off the top of my head. College football this weekend. The Bulldogs did hold off the Irish in what was a pretty good game, and the Badgers beat up on the Wolverines. What happened to Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan?
I don't know.
Michigan man.
Yeah.
WNBA starts on Sunday. The finals. It's a best of 5. The Sun at the Mystics. The Mystics have home court advantage in that best of 5 series. First game at Washington. Next 2 in Connecticut. Final 2 back in D.C. if necessary. The
And
Sun did sweep the Sparks. Mystics went the distance with that Las Vegas Aces team, coached by, remember last week we mentioned who was coaching the Sparks team, Derek Fisher. Who coaches that Las Vegas team?
I don't know who.
Bill Lambier.
Really?
Yeah. So Sun at Mystics Sunday afternoon. I would think they could have come up with a better time to play middle of an NFL Sunday.
I know.
3 o'clock. MLS huge win last night, or you call it a win because they were down 2-0 at the 86-minute mark.
Right.
The Revolution were playing out late on the West Coast in Portland, and they got a goal at the 86-minute mark, and then they got a penalty kick, which penalty was called in 5 minutes of stoppage time, and they converted that to tie Portland 2-2. Huge. And they're at NYCFC this weekend. NYC may have locked up first place with a 4-1 win against Atlanta United FC last night as well. So they hold on to that first spot. Revs holding on to that final spot in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And the Red Bulls holding down the 5th spot, a few points ahead of the Revs. Revs now have a 4-point cushion there. And LAFC in their first season clinched the Supporter Shield for best record in the MLS. How much time we got now?
What we got there, David?
Are we out of time?
Say goodbye.
We are out of time. We'll see you again next week as we keep this week-to-week thing going. Thank you, and see you next time.
Every day, kinda feel the same way. There must be a change somewhere, somehow. Babylon wants us to practice what they preach, sending false prophets to misleading the sheep. The eagles without sin cast the first stone. The eagles without sin.